All right. All right, perfect. So today's episode is going to be a little different than usual because today we're not doing an interview. We are doing some sports talk today. And I'm chopping it up with my guest, Jonnie, again, who is connected to all things San Diego State football. And you know me by now, got to represent the blue right here.
There you
So
go, man.
we got a Mountain West matchup tomorrow. It's 7:30. So let's just get to talking about it. We got the big elephant in the room in the skies right now going on. There is probably going to be a nice amount of rain tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
um, how is that from your perspective? How do you think that's going to affect the offense under Sean Lewis and everything?
Yeah, it's not I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know if it will affect it as much as it would have earlier in the season. I think coming off that loss to Hawaii, Indenical has kind of been regressing the past few weeks. I was expecting them to lean heavy on the run anyways to kind of set up the offense, especially because there's some ball hawkers in the secondary for Boise State. So I uh, I think Rain will make both teams run more, but that's what I expect Michigan do is rely on Lucky Sutton a little bit more. In Byron Hardwell and the other running backs to kind of set up, and soften up that defense and allow passing open up, and then just kind of take calculated shot from there. And then maybe similar. I mean, I'll let you answer it too, but maybe similar for Boise, with their quarterback being out and Cutford coming in. And I mean, they have three great running backs in Riley, Gaines, and Sherrod. I mean, they've all scored, I think, like 14 touchdowns combined or something around that, and 1,500 yards between the three of them. They do. You guys have some receivers that are pretty decent, but I think it's going to be a run heavy game for both sides of the football, both teams.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. We have a quarterback coming in who's a former walk-on, hasn't really played a lot. So I expect us to lean on. We got Malik Sherrod, who was that transfer from Fresno State. We got our two-headed backfield in Dylan Riley and Sear Gaines. And Dylan
Yeah,
Riley showed out against Air Force with a monster performance, over 200 yards, 4 touchdowns. So I'm
yeah,
hoping we lean on the run more lately. With Madsen in there, we've been trying to showcase the pass a little bit more than usual. So I'm hoping the rain actually forces the run game to develop for
yeah.
Boise.
I mean, and you guys with Matson even spread the ball around. I was looking up some of the receivers and tight ends, and there's multiple guys with multiple touchdowns. So it seems like the ball was being spread around in the passing game as well, which is nice to be diverse in that way. And then in the running game with the three backs is different than what we saw with Genty. Obviously, Genty could just carry the whole load himself. So I mean, why not keep giving it to him? But now it's interesting, and I mean for Boise State, that's nice to have fresh legs. I mean, you can bring in a different back each down if you need three downs to get a first. And each guy kind of brings their own, skill set to the offense for you guys. So it'll be interesting to see. That'll definitely help in a run heavy game where you can just rotate your running backs in who can all have good production and make explosive plays.
Yeah, I think the main name of the game has been injuries lately. Just for the fact that other than the obvious of Madsen, we also had Chris Marshall go down, who was one of our more well-known wide receivers who was a transfer. Also had some disciplinary issues. That's why he was inactive for a game
Um,
last week or the week before. But he's been injured now. We've had Ben Ford go down injured. He was kind of our slot guy, kind of speedy in the middle. So spreading
yeah.
the ball around's gotten a little bit harder, but we'll
Mm.
see what happens with that. Um,
Did you guys was there something that came out today about somebody in the secondary getting like he's no longer with the team?
Yeah, Devin Banks, he was a
Okay.
safety for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, kind of surprising, kind of not. I mean,
Yeah.
there's been a whole talk amongst among Boise fans that they're kind of getting a little tired of the coach Spencer Danielson and how he's running things. But I mean, because you know everybody's a Genty merchant now. All of a sudden, now that he's gone, and we're not winning these games and getting crushed by Notre Dame and losing to Fresno.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's it's a talent drain, and then on top of that, a lot of discourse in the fandom of having a few 4 and 5 star prospects who were committed completely flip their commitment to places like Iowa and Sacramento State and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
it's not surprising that lately there's probably been a few guys who probably may want to get out or probably going a little out of line, but it shouldn't
Yeah.
be too much of a factor. Not necessarily because he wasn't a great player, but just because we are deep in our secondary. We
Yeah,
already have a lot of issues there.
yeah. I mean, between who is it, Erie and McCoy, those guys combined have almost 10 receptions. I think Erie has 5 and McCoy has 4, so they're doing pretty solid so far in the secondary. But yeah, I saw that on Twitter. I saw the coach Danielson in a press conference mentioning that, and I was like, I gotta ask Vinny about that on the podcast. See what he thinks. So, yeah, yeah, that's interesting.
So usually our starting tandem is Zion Washington and Ty Benefield, who is my guy because he wears number 0.
Yeah.
We have been rotating in the Eastern Washington transfer, Derek Gaintier, I believe, Junior.
Okay.
He's been rotating onto the field and he's been showing flashes. So
Nice.
y- you
Yeah,
know,
and Benefield kind of reminds me of like a Derwin. Didn't he have a lot of he had a decent amount of sacks last season, right?
Yeah, so the thing about Ty is that he's kind of with and without position because he was lucky enough to have a great safety in Sehi Oladipo, who had a
Yeah,
cup of coffee with the Dolphins. But he was more of your kind of downhill starting safety, strong safety, kind of in the mold of like a Jaleel Adai. And
yeah,
then
yeah.
that kind of let Ty Benefield be the free safety and kind of roam around a little bit and
Mhm.
play close to the line of scrimmage. Now without Sehi there, he's kind of in between positions, I want to say, so he can come down and hit, but he's also playing deep a lot more, which he
Okay,
can do, but it's not necessarily his biggest strength in a
gotcha.
way.
Maybe it was Oladipo that I was thinking of with the sacks last year, but but yeah, he was a solid one. He was with Miami, you said for a bit.
Yeah, he had a cup of coffee in their mini camp, and then he hasn't done anything since then. But he was very much like a Jaleel Adai, very hard nosed hitting close to
Yeah,
the line of scrimmage, and you might have been thinking of him because he honestly did have
that's
a
who I
few
think I
sacks for
was
us last
from last
season.
year. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, he was solid. But yeah, it'll be an interesting game. The weather is definitely something that's going to suck, especially for that their press box doesn't have it's open air, so interesting. It'll be cold up there. I mean, you'll be cold too in the stands. So, um, but I'm sure there'll be some warm spots you can find there and stay out of the rain. So, where are you
Yeah,
sitting? Are you in the Boise area, like where they sell their tickets, or where are you at?
I believe we're section 115, I believe.
Oh,
So
nice. Okay.
near the Boise bench, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah. On
Like,
that side there,
let's see. Uh,
you gonna be in your Boise gear, all decked out.
oh, of course. Okay, section 102. The section 102. That's
102.
where we'll be
Okay,
at.
okay. Yeah, nice. It'll be cool. And you've been to the stadium obviously last time they played. So is this the second time you've been there? You just been there the one other time?
This will be my third time. The first time I
Oh,
went there was
third.
was to see our Air Force play.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you mentioned that the other day. Yeah, yeah. Um, but it'll be interesting. But yeah, I think SDSU just needs to kind of do a good job of obviously containing the running backs, the Broncos running backs, and seeing if they can force and apply pressure to cut forth and see if we can produce some interceptions. Chris Johnson, our corner, who was out last week against Hawaii, is questionable still. So we'll kind of see how that goes because that'll obviously play a big factor. Bryce Phillips is good as well. He has a brother who plays for the Falcons who's pretty good. Real hard hitting safety out there. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back coming off that loss against Hawaii. Helps being back at home and not hit the road again. So we'll see.
So, the interesting part about both of our teams is they kind of parallel each other in the journey they've taken the past year or so because Spencer Danielson came on as the new coach last year. You had Sean Lewis coming in as the coach last year for SDSU.
Yep.
Um, Kind of opposite trajectories. Boise went all the way to the college football championship. SDSU didn't have a great season. Now we're kind of flipping that. We're kind of flipping that a little bit. SDSU is having a pretty decent season. Boise's on the low. So,
Yeah.
what kind of necessitated the coaching change there over at SDSU, and what has Sean Lewis slowly started to develop as far as like culture over there
Mhm.
with the Aztecs?
Yeah, so what happened is with Hoke, I think he was just like, I don't know, man. It was like a different type of energy he had his second time around being head coach after Rocky Long left. And from what I hear is he just got kind of lazy with his recruiting and just making adjustments to the new kind of changes that were happening around college football. So and then, I mean, you combine that with the fact that they weren't winning games and they were starting to falter there, and it's kind of like how you mentioned with Genty, fans are impatient in sports, and it goes like that week by week. You see it. Like, I mean, right now, Aztec fans are upset about the Hawaii loss, and I get it, but I think they are a little bit more narrow sighted, and they don't really look at the broad picture of things. We're like, okay, we had a 6 game winning streak. Losing sucks, but like it's cyclical in sports. But yeah, so that's sort of I think what necessitated the change of head coach and needing to bring in Sean Lewis, and then having the new stadium helped with that as well. But I think having the like a newer, younger coach come in who has like very high energy. I remember being out at the first practice when Lewis was there. And it was, I didn't cover the team. I've only covered it with Lewis, but I've seen, like, obviously being around in San Diego, I've seen on social media and things like that from the media about Hoke. And the energy was like a complete 180. You had somebody like Hoke who would be kind of short in press conferences and a little bit grumpy, kind of an older guy. In the practices were just very strict, strictly run with no music, which is an interesting thing. When Lewis came in the first day, like I was getting to, is he was running around the whole practice. Obviously, he has a lot of energy, and you kind of expect that from a coach coming in to a program as a new head coach because he's wanting to get his players going. He's wanting to kind of make a name for himself. So you're like kind of like, okay, like it's impressive this energy and excitement that he's bringing, but let's see if he keeps it up, and he did. He's still running around at practices. But like I mentioned with the music, then that first day they had music playing and everything like that. And I didn't cover him before, like I said, but the media that was there with me who had been covering, I asked him like, oh wow, like, the previous regime didn't have music. Like, what's your like reasoning behind that and everything? And he said just that's just how he's done things in his coaching career, and he just finds that it helps with the energy and allows the players to be a little bit more loose. And I mean that makes sense. If you have a coach that you're seeing, these are young players, they have a lot of energy too. So you see your coach running around and you're going to be pretty amped up too. And then obviously he said that the players got to have an input on in the music selection for the practices. So it's just like in baseball that how they have walk up songs. So that was interesting. And I think that first year was just a little bit tough for him, bringing in his coaching staff and new players, a very young quarterback and Danny O'Neill. And I had asked him early in the off season, when, like with your Aztec fast offense that everyone was talking about, when does it get up to its full speed? Because he had kept mentioning it, him and the players, okay, like we're at this percent of speed. And he said for his offense to, be implemented well and be running up to the speed that it needs, he's like, it would probably be around halfway through year two. So we're here at year two and we're about halfway through, and the offense was doing pretty well. It started to regress a little bit, but the improvements are nice. The fans are happy. Like I said, obviously, as long as you win, the fans are good. But it's been a fresh start, and a lot of people are happy with it. But there's still those when there's a little hiccup, people who are calling for his head and things like that. But I think you need to be patient and see what he can do. And he's done a lot better in his second year than last year.
Oh. All right. So take two here, but we're going to make it work. So this is a different kind of episode. We're going to talk the upcoming game literally tomorrow within the next, I don't know, 24 hours or so.
Yeah, less than. Yeah.
We got SDSU, Boise State, Broncos versus Aztecs. And really much a kind of a matchup of yin and yang teams here. We have two Mountain West coaches, both going through their second seasons right now, but completely opposite paths. We have one offensive coach coming from Colorado. We got a defensive coach who came up through the ranks. One has FBS experience coaching at Kent State. The other one is only coached at Azusa Pacific before coming to Boise. So it's very much a kind of a yin and yang matchup here. So it's going to be very interesting to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely should be a good game. A wet game too. It's supposed to be well, it's already pretty rainy here in San Diego, and it's supposed to be pretty bad tomorrow too. So that'll be interesting.
So from what you've seen of the Sean Lewis offense so far in the past season and a half, what is kind of the philosophy behind it? Is it more of a spread offense, kind of a quick attack? Well, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's sort of evolved a tiny bit from his first season to this season. Mostly with the speed of it. When he first came to the Mesa here, we heard about this Aztec fast offense quick tempo, quick pace. He was running around our practices. They were getting plays off pretty fast. And then I think once they kind of figured out that tempo and that speed wasn't quite working like they wanted to early on in the season, there was a ton of pre-snap penalties, a lot of false starts that first year. And I believe that kind of factored into the offense we see now. But it's a mix. This last season, they had Marquez Cooper, a good running back, who, you know, carry the ball and take on the majority of the workload, which he did. And so we saw them be like definitely a run first team. And then they had a very young quarterback in Danny O'Neal. And I think just his development didn't work out how they expected. And then he jumped in the portal after the season. So now he's with Wisconsin. I haven't followed him much. I know he's gotten some playing time this year. They've had some injuries at quarterback. So that was kind of year one. That was the 3-9 season, the disappointing season. But I mean, this is college football, and nowadays how it is with so many players coming in and out of the portal, and a new coach coming in, and you're trying to mesh so many things together, and then quickly do all your installs, and then get that going during the season. And throughout the season, things are progressing and changing as well. So, I mean, from a fan standpoint, they were disappointed. But, I mean, if you look into it at a deeper level, you have to understand like how all the intricacies that have to, go together to work and have a successful season. So that was year one. Year two, much better, complete turnaround. They have this like similar to Boise, but not. Boise has a little bit more depth at running back, I think, with like the skill set there. But now it's more of a running back by committee here with Lucky Sutton, like a local San Diegan, leading the way. Byron Cardwell. So those guys have been doing good this season. Danigal comes in from Michigan, transfers in. He's a good quarterback. He can run, he can scramble, get out of the pocket a little bit, and make plays happen. But yeah, it's for the offense this year, I'd say the speed slowed down, the tempo slowed down just a bit. I think Sean Lewis, after that first season, wanted to sort of make things a little bit easier for the quarterback. But they spread the ball around well. Jordan Napier is kind of the breakout guy this year, and Lucky Sutton's been doing well. Hopefully he stays healthy. Just got a few more games or through the bulk of the season here, and now we're coming into that final stretch. But it's definitely like a run first offense, and then they take advantage of what opportunities that opens up. Last year with Danny O'Neal, a term that Lewis mentioned a lot was calculated shots when it comes to the passing game. And that very much so continued into this year as well. But Denigal has been able to connect a lot more on the deep balls. A few weeks ago, he threw for the most passing yards for a quarterback under Lewis. So he's done well. The past few games, he's kind of regressed a bit, but the team as a whole, the past few weeks have been a little bit wishy-washy, especially coming off the loss to Hawaii. But yeah, a lot better offense this season, and defense has stayed the same as it was last season. Last season, it was good in the beginning, faltered near the end. It's been good so far. I wouldn't really say with the Hawaii loss, I wouldn't consider it faltering with just one loss. So I think that they're still in a good position. They lost Tana Latuli, the linebacker, but they've been hanging in there.
Oh, that's wow, I wasn't kidding when I said they're kinda yin yangs, opposites similar, because that sounds almost
Yeah.
exactly kind of very similar.
hmm
Um, so we go into the 2023 season with,
hmm
Andy Avalos as the head coach. He's now currently the OC at TCU. He gets fired 5-5 season. Spencer Danielson comes in with Taylon Green currently at quarterback, who's now transferred to Arkansas,
hmm
gets us to the Fiesta Bowl. No, that was got to the LA Bowl. Taylor Green enters the transfer portal before the LA Bowl happens, and we end up starting CJ Tiller at quarterback. CJ Tiller transfers to Utah State, and so that brings us to Spencer Daniels' first year, 2024, where he's got Maddox Matson and Ashton Genty in the backfield. Matson being a guy who kind of bided his time a little bit. He kind of dealt with injuries beforehand. He was technically supposed to start the season. Taylor Green did, but he got injured, so Taylor took over and showcased that talent. So this was basically Matson's first year to, show what he could do. Basically, rode Genty, and kind of a similar philosophy. It was just ride Genty all the way, run first offense, take your shots down the field when you have them available to. hitting guys like Matt Lauder, a tight end, and Latrell Caples and other guys like that. Rode it all the way to the college football playoffs. Defense was kind of your calling card. Spencer Dearnison having come up as a graduate assistant and a defensive assistant and stayed behind to be a D coordinator. So defense was his calling card. We had guys like Sehi Oladipo, um, Ty Benefield. He had the duo of McCoy at the time, and Ahmad Hassanan, who got drafted by the Lions in the 6th round this year. So that was kind of mainly your calling cards right there, and the heart and soul of the defense that basically got you all the way to Penn State. Lose some of those guys, some of the spirit is kind of gone, though we have the younger guys stepping up. We have Jalen Virgil Morgan, who's kind of taken over in Hassan's old role. He kind of was a rotational guy last year, but he's really stepped up at edge rusher. He's had a few good games. We had Brandon Feely return to the team after he briefly flirted with the transfer portal, and the team he decided to come back, and the team let him back in. So he's been the heart in the middle. And then we've had Marco Noritani. He's our middle linebacker. He's starting to come into his own, and just a rotation of middle linebacker between him and Bowen Phelps. And in the backfield, the safety duo right now is Ty Benefield and Zion Washington. Zion's not quite as talented as say he used to be. He's still kind of a downhill guy, but he's not quite as fearsome of a tackler as say he is.
Mhm.
And Ty Benefield, he can get kind of deep in the long range as free safety, but that's not really where he's most comfortable because he has gotten burned a couple times. But he can still keep up with coverage pretty well with his 6'2" frame. Corners have been kind of wishy-washy because we have had a Marion McCoy who's been with the team for a long time.
Mhm.
Jeremiah Iraby's been kind of hit or miss here and there. Um, but so far they've kind of they've tightened up a little bit and they're locked down. We had some losses during the season. We had a couple transfers and disciplinary actions because some of the deep shots we were taking to Chris Marshall, he was a transfer who came over here. He transferred from his previous school because he was having disciplinary issues. Similar issue about a week ago, we benched him for having an outburst on the sideline. Ben Ford was kind of our deep threat. He's out with an injury. So mostly we're just riding Latrell Caples whenever he can, make a deep pass and trying to hit the tight ends has been mostly the spot that's been kind of ignored recently because we do have good tight ends. Matt Lauder is one of the top tight ends in the Mountain West. His backup, Matt Wagner's not bad either. So it's still very much a run first offense, very much running back like committee as well. Um, the expectation going into the season was that it was going to be Sire Gaines, who's only like 18, 19 right now and had a strong showing spelling Genty last year. He's dealt with some injuries, so he's kind of let Dylan Riley come in behind him, who's kind of showcased a little bit, had a great game against Air Force with over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then on top of that, there's also the transfer from Fresno State, Malik Sherrod, who's kind of been flashy when he has his chances to be, but he's kind of lacking a little bit behind the other two. And then that's pretty much been the main three we've been riding all season. We had a fourth running back who was our third last year, Breezy Dunbar, who showcased talent, but he being fourth on the depth chart and getting a 5-star commit in Greg Ard from Texas, he transferred as well. And then, now last game we have Matson getting injured for the foreseeable future. We don't know what's going on with that. And then also, I believe an injury to the D line, to the offensive line as well with one of the Steele brothers.
Mhm.
So that's kind of been what's been going on here. It's very, very similar, just a very run heavy offense. Take the shots when you can, hit the middle of the field, rely on your defense for the most part. But now we have Matson out, and so we're going to be leaning on Max Cutforth, who's been with the team for a couple years, but never really been anything bigger than third or fourth string, depending up until this past year where he showed out enough to be second string. He's a local Boise kid, so that's going to be interesting. But it's just kind of interesting to see how this is going to go with the run game being a factor with both teams, but sometimes you want to favor the pass a little more, but the conditions are going to necessitate possibly running more. So it's going to be a very much a grinded out type of game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the weather's gonna be the biggest factor, obviously. And I believed this was gonna be a run first game for both teams, and then with the weather coming up, then that really just sort of solidified that even more. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. And then I think what can really change the tide in this game for either team is with the run game and it being, we'll see how much it is raining, but shots downfield. If what team can capitalize on some shots downfield, receivers trying to hold on to a slippery ball, DB slipping, receivers slipping, things like that. So it's going to be who can control the clock and who can make big plays. Placencia, the field goal kicker, also, he's pretty consistent, very solid kicker, and every point's going to matter in this game. So I believe he could play a big role as well for SDSU. So, but yeah, the weather, I mean, for Boise, they're probably going to be running a little bit more anyways with Cutforth now coming in due to the injury. So, but I mean, I expect them still to take shots. They have good receivers, like you mentioned, like Latrell Coples. He's decent, and I'm sure they're going to try and find a way to maybe utilize play action and sort of see if they can get him to kind of break free in the secondary there. Chris Johnson, the Aztec cornerback, who was out last week against Hawaii, and we saw that really exploited the defense. He's questionable this week, so we'll kind of see that. That's going to be a big storyline to follow as well, to see what tomorrow. We're about 21 hours away from game time, and see if he's ready for kickoff, because that'll be a big boost as well. He also can come up in the box and make tackles too. So in a game like this, where if they have these running backs for the Broncos that can kind of break things outside, and having a guy like that who can make those open field tackles. Bryce Phillips also, that's going to play a big role as well.
So it's funny that you mentioned Chris Johnson, because he consistently comes up as one of the players to keep an eye out, for next year's draft.
Mm-hmm.
So who, in your opinion, are some of the players on the Aztecs that should be looked out for as far as NFL talent going into next season?
Yeah, I think Johnson, obviously, most of them are on the defense. The three I'm going to name, the big three. You have Johnson, you have Trey White, and you have Bryce Phillips. Phillips actually declared for the draft, but then when they did that rule change where community college players it didn't count towards eligibility, then he came back. So he has a brother who's playing for the Falcons who's really talented as well. But I think those three, when I'm in the press box, there's NFL scouts there quite a bit. So you have to figure, based on how guys are performing, that it's got to be for all three guys, or a combination of those three guys. But I think those are the main ones. It'll be interesting to see, what sort of, where they end up going. Not many Aztecs get drafted too high. I don't know if it has to do with the conference and the the opponents that they're playing versus some of these other teams like in the Big Ten and things like that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think those three guys there, White, Johnson, and Phillips, are going to be the three ones to really keep an eye on after the season.
Yeah, I remember watching like Jesse Matthews back when they were playing
Yeah.
at Dignity Health, and I think he
Yeah.
had a spell with the Falcons. Galvin Escobar before that, Dontrell Mumphrey. Like,
Pumphrey, Penny. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Who went?
Rashad Penny. That's right, Rashad
He was
Penny.
a good
That's
one.
right.
It's
Yeah.
sort of like a strange, I think injuries cut his career short. He was with Carolina last, but and then Cooper McDonald right now is with the Kansas City Chiefs. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, and Matt Ariza as well. Obviously, the punter is there. But I'm trying to think. There's a few others. Man, I'm drawing a blank on his name. There's a receiver who's in Buffalo. Can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name, because he was good when he was with SDSU just a couple years ago. Really good deep threat. But he's with the Buffalo Bills. But yeah, those are the main guys. Pumphrey won a Super Bowl with Philadelphia. He was on the roster. He was injured, but he has a ring.
That's right. That's right. I completely forgot about that. He did.
Him and Sproles, like some San Diego ties on that Super Bowl team there. Yeah.
And then over on the Broncos side here, immediately the first thing that comes to my mind is the left tackle, Cage Casey. That's been the biggest guy that I've seen. I mean, us being Chargers fans, we're always on the lookout for any offensive lineman. So anytime
Yeah,
anybody asks
especially
me,
that.
anytime anybody asks me, I always say, take a look at Cage Casey. He's considered one of the top tackles in the Mountain West. He's been a consistent
Yeah.
player, been a consistent starter. I also give a shout out to Roger Carrion. He's our right guard. He's also not quite as highly considered as Casey, but he's still pretty good guard in his own right.
Mhm.
I keep an eye on Ty Benefield. He's coming up on his junior year. He might declare early, possibly, but he's flash NFL talent. He's got NFL. Well, he's got semi-professional football ties. His dad, David Benefield, having played in the CFL for many, many years,
Oh, wow. I didn't
and
know that.
he's friends with Javon Holland's family. Also,
Oh, wow.
they have
Okay.
close ties to each other. So keep an eye out on him. He's slowly developing into his own. He's got good range,
Yeah.
and for the past couple of years, as you had Scott Matlock get drafted to the Chargers. Demarcus Lawrence is
Oh,
having a come.
Matlock's a Bronco?
Oh, I'm sorry, the Broncos. I'm sorry, I meant to the Chargers.
No, 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 I know, but, like, he was a former Boise State Bronco.
Yeah, actually,
Oh,
he was
I didn't know
on
that.
the D. He was exclusively on the D line as a tackle, and then
Oh,
Harbaugh.
really?
Yeah, and then Harbaugh. He's had his previous projects like Will Tufuafu and Bruce Miller, who were former defensive guys. You put them on the fullback, so that's how Scotty became a
Oh, wow.
fullback.
How did I not know that? That's interesting, yeah.
And it's so
Wow.
funny. They never put him in on. Well, they put him in on goal line, but they never put him like on the line as a tight end. He actually caught like at least 3 or 5 touchdown passes at Boise State, actually,
Oh,
in the end
really?
zone. Yeah.
Oh, dang. Wow, that's interesting. He's a big dude, man, that guy.
6'4", 300, baby.
Yeah. Jeez. Wow,
and
I
then
learn something new every day.
and then we had JL Skinner, the special teams player, who blocked the punt on the last Thursday night game with his helmet. He's a former
Well,
Boise State Bronco as well.
oh, wow. Huh. That's pretty cool. That's really interesting.
And
Yeah.
we have Demarcus Lawrence making his comeback with the Seahawks, having that monster game against the Cardinals. He was a Bronco
Yeah.
as well. Originally drafted to the Cowboys when they were taking Boise State players all the time because they had Kellen Moore on the staff.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Who was
consistent.
the who was the linebacker from you guys that went to Dallas?
Oh, LV, Leighton Vander Esch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was a pretty high draft. When did he get drafted? He was kind of
He was
high up.
I believe number 16. So it was between him, Ryan Clady, the former tackle for the Broncos, and then
Mhm.
now Ashton Genty for the highest drafted Boise State player. So Genty being the first in the 6th round, sixth overall
6th
pick.
overall. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then
Yeah,
Ryan
Van Der
Clady
Esch.
was 10th, I believe.
Yeah. What happened to Van Der Esch, man? Did he get hurt? Did he get injuries, or is he still around?
He had a neck injury. That's what happened to him.
Yeah.
He had a really
No.
bad neck injury that kind of basically forced him into retirement. Kind of similar to what happened with like Sean Lee, ironically. Same
Oh,
thing.
man, really?
Yeah, same type of neck injury.
Dang, Lee was a fun one to watch.
And
Yeah.
then there was John Hightower and David Moa, who they had a cup of coffee in the NFL. John Hightower actually got drafted to the Eagles in the 5th round.
Oh,
Had
wow.
a cup of coffee with the Chargers for a couple years there under Brandon Staley.
Mhm.
David Moa, undrafted free agent to the Giants. Same thing was with the Chargers during a couple Staley mini camps.
Staley, man. Staley and Len, those were some interesting times. And which one was well, maybe Lynn wasn't as bad as Staley. Because Lynn at least had Rivers, and then Lynn like barely Lynn had Herbert, right? For a year. He was a head coach in Herbert's rookie year. I think so, right?
Yeah, everybody only remembers that because he's a backup for a reason line that happened. Right.
Did he say that?
Yeah, that was that was
Jeez.
Anthony Lynn who said that because he had Tyrod Taylor. He started Tyrod Taylor
Mhm.
against rookie Joe Burrow and the Bengals at the time. He won the game. Then the lung thing happened with Tyrod.
Yeah.
And so it was like, everybody's asking him like, well, Herbert showed out against the Chiefs and he had this monster game. Why were you not going to start him? He's like, well, he's a backup for a reason.
Yikes. Yikes. Yeah. I like Tyrod though, but yeah. Obviously Herbert's the one you'd rather go with.
I mean, he's with the Jets now as Justin Fields' backup, so that's a very easy job to have.
Yeah. It might get a little harder if he has to go in. We'll see. But yeah.
And then other than that, most recently, other than Genty, obviously, it was Amon Hassanon. He was our defensive edge. Got drafted in the 6th round by the Lions. Had a good preseason. Got released with an injury settlement, but apparently he's healthy now because he got signed
Nice.
back to the practice squad for the Lions.
Oh, cool. Okay. Quite a bit of talent.
Yeah, I know. So, and then I suppose so. Because I remember, because not really there's not really rivalries per se in the Mountain West, I guess, because we do have those, but they're kinda going away with the, with the reconferencing realignment going on
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
now with all the states. Basically, every single state school
Mhm.
going to the Pac-12. So this
Yeah.
rivalries, but I think there is a rivalry between San Diego and Boise because it has been like has been very back and forth the past couple years. I
Yeah.
mean, there was the Black Friday game back in, like, 2022 back at StubHub where you guys completely beat us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I wanted to go to that game, but man, that was a weird time and like time of day and day after Thanksgiving to drive up there. But yeah,
Like a
it
10 I think it was like a 10 AM kickoff or
was
something like
it
that.
was early. I was like, yeah, I'm not getting up that early day after Thanksgiving. But yeah,
And
yeah,
then there was that monster game that Genty basically broke out for, like, 186 yards, but even still, even though that entire game basically went down to the last, what, 3 minutes of the game,
yeah,
'cause it was still pretty tied up well. So there's been a
yeah.
lot of back and forth between these teams, and
Oh yeah.
San Diego State win the Mountain West,
Mhm.
a few years ago. So I would say these
Yeah,
are up until recently, these have been some of the top 2 teams in the conference, but now we have UNLV coming on up, we have Hawaii coming on up.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's gonna be a tough 4 place race for basically who's gonna win the Mountain West.
yeah. It'll be interesting to see. Aztecs, man, they really didn't help themselves with that loss to Hawaii. But I'm hoping that they can still figure it out, get on track, finish the season strong, and host the Mountain West Conference Championship. I'd get to go to an extra game. We got I get 2 more home games guaranteed. So yeah,
Are you gonna head up here if they get selected for the LA Bowl?
I'll try if it's a bowl close. Yeah, so like LA Bowl or like yeah, I don't know what bowls they're like technically eligible for what you know what I mean, like what ones are gonna potentially pick them. But if they did LA Bowl, that's a SoFi, right?
Yep, that's the
Or
SoFi.
yeah, yeah, I'd go to that. That'd be cool.
It's gonna be interesting to see what happens with that because right now the bowl selections are Mountain West and former Pac-12. So
Okay, is that what it is?
yeah, so that's
Okay.
why it was, Boise State versus UCLA a couple years ago,
Okay, that makes sense.
and then ever
Yeah.
since it was, like, Oregon State versus, Utah State 1 year or something like that, Washington
Hmm.
State played in it. So that's been the tie-in. So with realignment, I'm not exactly sure what the new tie-in's gonna be, if it's still gonna be Mountain West versus Pac-12, but it's gonna be
Yeah, that'll be
Mountain West and Mountain West 2.0, I guess, basically.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But that'll be yeah, if it was LA Bowl, I'd definitely go to that. That'd be cool. Hope it's a close one. I did the Holiday Bowl last year, and it was Syracuse and Washington State at Snapdragon. That was a good game, high scoring.
Oh oh, so that's like a Pac-12 Big 10
That's a
tie-in, I
Pac-12
guess.
ACC, right?
ACC.
Yeah, yeah,
So like you Louisville and your Clemson and all that type of stuff.
yeah, yeah. But like Washington State had like fired their head coach, or he left for another job. Um, their quarterback wasn't
Oh,
gonna
John Mateer,
pull.
that's right.
Here was yeah. So it was kind of like a not really like a scab team, but it was like a really modge podge of players.
That's right, because they had,
And
like,
coaching
what,
staff.
20 or 25 of their players transfer once the coach left?
Yeah,
I
they did.
remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They weren't sure if they were gonna be able to field the team, but it was a good game. Kyle McCord went off. He threw for like something crazy, but yeah,
And future Charger Rondé Gasson.
yeah, yeah. That's true. Yeah, but that was a good game. But yeah, I hope the Aztecs get a close one. Because I'd like to go to it. That'd be pretty cool.
So, speaking of the transfers, how has Lewis's philosophy been as far as, like, getting players in it or possibly letting players leave? Like, how has he utilized the transfer portal in his rebuild so far?
Yeah, so they've really gone after local talent a lot as well. Sort of coining like the hometown hero phrase here in San Diego because obviously there's a lot of talent here. You have guys like Troy Hoon. He was committed to Penn State, but then they fired their head coach and he decommitted. Um, you have who was the Lincoln quarterback who just went to Oregon? Um, his dad played Achilles Smith Jr. So
What? Achilles Smith Jr. is in college football?
yeah, he's with Oregon. He just went. I watched him at a passing camp at SDSU when Lincoln was playing in that, and now he's in his first season at Oregon. But yeah, so there's a lot of talent in San Diego, and so like their main philosophy has been that like recruit locally, and then branch out from that. Obviously, you're gonna have to go to other parts besides San Diego, other states even. So, but that and then this transfer portal he's been going after a lot as well. Obviously, that's where we've gotten Denegal. That's where we got our that's where our quarterback went to last year as well. So and then Napier, Jordan Napier, the breakout receiver, he entered the portal, similar to like you had mentioned, somebody from Boise did that, and then he rejoined the team. I want to say last season, once he had like sort of this like once you enter the portal, like that's it, like there was no welcome back. But then
Yeah,
this
we had the
season,
same thing. Yeah.
yeah, and then this season is different, obviously, and I mean these are young guys. They want to see what offers they can get. So it's nice to kind of welcome them back, and then it worked out with like a guy like Jordan Napier. But yeah, they've been strong in the portal, but then also just like they've been getting good commitments. Guys obviously decommit. That's just how it is nowadays. And but yeah, I'd say like the local recruiting has gotten a lot better. There was a few players that we have gotten we got a receiver who is really good. We have a quarterback, PJ. I'll botch his last name, so I'm not even gonna try. But some good players like that, some San Diego guys, and then it helps having a guy like having so many local players doing very well for SDSU, like Tana Latuli on defense and Trey White. They're both local guys. And then on offense, you have Lucky Sutton, Byron Cardwell, and just seeing, like you mentioned before, Jesse Matthews. He was a local guy too. So that helps with your recruitment pitch when you have these guys and you can say, hey, look, these guys are born and raised here, and now they're showing out for their local college, and like why not stay home? I mean, I get if guys have like offers from Penn State or like Ohio State, like Julian saying he's a local guy from Carlsbad. But really, like as a program in a local college, you got to recruit like your local players. You want to keep them home, the ones that you can. And then from there, it's just like a snowball effect because then you're able to pitch that to the next class and the next class. So he goes to high school games when he can, Lewis and his staff. So they've done a real good job from that. Also, from what I see, like on social media, from a lot of the local top high school players are always posting their game invites to SDSU. The sideline's always, packed with players there watching. So he's done a good job, I think, with recruitment. And I think his like upbeat, like he's a younger coach and his personality and everything, players on the team always rave about him and how much they like to play for him. So I think that he is a good salesman for his program and his team and his philosophy to get guys to come here and join.
I was gonna say, having come from, Colorado with Dion,
Yeah.
have you kinda noticed that kind of maybe not so much like the flashiness but like that kind of upbeat, kind of I don't know, I guess like super players coach kind of personality kind of developing amongst the team?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Um I see it from the assistant coaches as well. Ryan Lindley and all those guys. But yeah, definitely from Lewis. And I keep that in mind when I'm like watching and observing, like, okay, this guy came from like where Dion was. And we all know Dion's personality and how he is. So yeah, I would definitely say that he has that same type of energy. I mean, nobody's like Dion because he's a little bit like out there, but you can definitely tell that the players connect with him well because I mean, and he played as well, and a lot of coaches play, but he's since he's younger and he knows what these players have gone through as far as being a college football player, and uh, and just his level of excitement in what you see, how he pours into these players. Every player talks about how much they like playing for Lewis. Same with when we interview players who transferred in. One of the main questions is why SDSU, and then it's always Coach Lewis. They like what he stands for and his philosophy. Whether they're defensive, he's obviously an offensive minded coach, but even the defensive players as well rave about him. So I think that he definitely brings that energy you kind of see like Colorado and these other programs have, and I'm sure there was a lot that, even though it didn't work out there, I'm sure that there's stuff that he learns. You learn things along every step of the way, but yeah, but he does a great job recruiting, and the players love to play for him.
Ryan Lindley, old Cardinals quarterback. That's a name I
Yeah,
haven't heard in a long time. Was he like an
yeah,
offensive assistant or something?
he's a tight ends coach.
Really?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Dude, that's wow, that's funny.
Yeah, yeah, tight ends coach. He was a good quarterback for the Aztecs, but yeah, then he was with the Cardinals. Yeah,
Uh,
Ryan Lindley.
That's interesting because yeah, I mean, because recently, our new offensive coordinator that we hired was Nate Potter, the old tackle for the Cardinals, actually, and he
Oh
was the
wow,
tight ends. Yeah, and he was the tight ends coach, and now on the he's the offensive coordinator.
oh wow,
So that's
interesting how
so
that goes. Yeah,
the connections are so bizarre.
yeah, 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 definitely. But yeah, he's a good coach. A lot. He has a lot of energy, as I mentioned. So like when you go to these press conferences and you ask him like a question, he'll go on for like 3-4 minutes, and then I'm going back to like type it out. Man, what point did he answer the question? Because he'll talk about. He's so passionate. He'll talk about that question, and then he'll expand even more about that player or situation or whatever you're talking about. Versus I didn't cover when Hoke was there, but I heard that he was pretty short with his answers and a little bit grumpy. He's an older guy, so he's been around it a lot more. Maybe Lewis just hasn't gotten worn out as much yet.
That's kind of interesting. So it sounds like on the Aztec side, it's kind of more of like a energetic youth movement that's
Yeah.
getting all the players to connect together. And then over here on the Broncos side, it's actually kind of interesting because it's more of a spiritual kind of connection that's connected the team.
Okay. Gotcha.
Danielson went to Azusa Pacific University, so he's kind of like wears his faith on his sleeve and everything, and that's kind of been the calling card for like a lot of the players that come into Boise State. I
Uh,
mean, that was kind of a big reason also why Genty decided to stay, um,
wow.
because yeah, it's kind of they're kind of big on like uh Christianity and that type of stuff. That's kind
Hmm.
of been the calling card of like what's bonded a lot of the team together. That's kind of gotten criticism from some of the fans, just they kind of feel like they're a little too hoity-toity about it. But I mean,
Hmm.
you ask any of the players on the team, and they will give their all 100% for all their brothers and for Spencer Danielson. It's kind
That's
of been of a
cool.
roller coaster a little bit just because of how the big highs have been and how it's kind of petered out this season.
Yeah.
And what I always like to joke about Boise State fans is they're a lot like Eagles fans. The most popular player is the backup quarterback. I've only been intensely following the team for 5 years, and I cannot
uh,
tell you the many times. Um, BYU quarterback, Bear Bachmeier, his
hmm.
brother was the Boise State, quarterback back in, like, 2019, Hank Bachmeier.
Oh wow. Okay.
He yeah, he his freshman year, they beat Florida State in Tallahassee, but
Jeez.
he just never really developed after that, mostly because we didn't have good offensive coaching and our O-line really sucked.
Yeah.
But I
Well, that helps.
but I mean, the entire time he was there, I mean, it was like, okay, well, we're waiting for Chase Cord or Jalen Henderson. Jack Sears was a USC quarterback at the time he transferred to Boise State for a year. The SDSU game, we put him in at quarterback because Hank was having a bad game, and I remember all the Boise State fans behind me cheering that Sears was going to go into the game. We
Yeah.
had Taylor Green when Taylor Green was doing bad. Okay, we got to put in Matson even though he's injured. We got to show him what he's got. Okay, well
Yeah.
now let's put in CJ Tiller, this kid that we picked up, and see what he can do. And even now, everybody was
Yeah.
rooting for Cutforth because Matson was having issues, and you know we'll see how it goes from there. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting, especially with quarterback kind of being the main issue with Boise State, not really having a good one, or at least one to put on the map since God Brett Rippon when he was here.
Jeez. Yeah. It's been a while, huh?
So and we're talking about recruiting and everything. And one of the bigger issues has been getting higher star recruits quarterback wise to Boise State because we've
Yeah.
been having no problem getting the running backs and everything, but
Yeah.
we've had a few quarterback commits decommit and head to Iowa of all places, and Sacramento State. So that's been the main
Oh,
issue. And we're kinda good we're good also at kinda developing homegrown talent. They're just not as good of a talent as there is, like, in a hotbed like, San Diego and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, same with SDSU. I mean, it's been a while since we had a good quarterback. Um, we've had, but I mean, that also goes like hand in hand with like the good running backs that they've had for years, like Pumphrey and Penny and all those guys. Cause I mean, you don't need a great quarterback. You don't need to really go out and obviously you want to recruit a good quarterback. I'm sure they would have, um, signed one had they wanted to go to SDSU. But I mean, when you have good running backs and you're kind of this run first running back university, it's hard for a quarterback to want to go there because the culture is already kind of set up in that sense. You know what I mean? Like when they were with Rocky Long and it was just like tough defense and running the ball. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't like exciting to watch the offense, but they won games and they got to bowl games.
Yeah, absolutely. So what give us your 3 keys to victory that will help bring the Aztecs to a win.
Yeah. So one will be, well, the first two kind of go hand in hand with each other. The first one's going to be contain the running backs, the Boise State running backs. You want to contain them, limit the explosive plays, and then once you're able to do that, I think what they'll need to do is apply pressure to Cutforth. If they're gonna try and take some downfield shots, you want to get pressure to him, make him uncomfortable, and see if they can possibly potentially force some turnovers there. They have the players in the secondary that can make the play if he makes an errant throw, and then they just gotta make them pay. So those are the two there. There's two for you, and those are on the defensive side. Offensive, they just got to get the ball going again. Like last week against Hawaii, I don't know what happened, but the offense couldn't get it done. They couldn't find the end zone. So I think this week they maybe need to just get back to the basics, just get back to running the ball and then seeing what that opens up for you, and see what shots you can take from there. So those are my three keys to the game: contain the running backs, apply pressure to force turnovers, and then on offense, just stay simple. And it's going to be a wet game, it's going to be a rainy game. Limit turnovers and just continue moving the ball.
And I would say for us, I would say it'd be very similar to the game plan we just saw on Sunday Night Football with the Chargers and the Steelers. You want to simplify the offense, play to your strengths, which is playing to the run game. You have 3 great running backs, use them. Keep the short game, keep your passes short, run some slants and everything, just so you get easy completions to get coverage comfortable. And then on the defense, you just want to keep the offense in front of you. Don't let anybody blow past you and let them take the deep shots down the field. Just keep everything in front of you because one of the strengths of this Boise defense is their tackling. So
Yeah,
we have great linebackers, we have corners who are willing to tackle, and we have safeties who are willing to come up into the box. So keep everything in front of you so that way you can rally to the ball. And that's just the biggest thing is this Bronco defense kind of feeds off of each other. So you get one guy who makes a great play and that just gasses up the entire team. So I think having a lot of those kind of situations where you can get guys rallying to the ball is really going to kind of energize the offense, energize the defense, which hopefully in turn will at least energize the offense, or at the very least keep the offense on the field to a minimum, so there's not a lot of mistakes to be made with your walk-on quarterback.
yeah, yeah. Makes sense. It'll be a fun game to watch for sure.
All
Another
right. So
good battle.
what's your score prediction?
Oh, let me think, because I don't know if that's interesting to think because I don't. I'm trying to think with the weather if it's going to be just a lot of running and time of possession is going to be like a key factor. I'm going to say 31-27 Aztecs.
Ooh, that's a good one.
A high score. I want some
I'll
entertainment. I want to be entertained.
I'll go with 24-17. Probably get a couple of runs in there and hopefully a field goal because our kicking situation has been a little bit on the rocks because
Uh-huh.
we had a transfer come in from UCF, Colton Boomer, who's been kind
Okay.
of hit or miss lately, and then we have the homegrown kid who's done kind of well, but that's I think kicking is going to be the main thing. You guys definitely have the edge as far as special teams are concerned. Um,
Yeah.
At least as far as the kicking is concerned. I'm not sure. How good is your punter, actually?
Hunter Green, he's not bad. Um, he has his days, but yeah, hopefully they don't have to punt too much.
Yeah,
But
kinda similar.
but
We
yeah,
had
the
oh, go ahead.
or I was gonna say the punting isn't where it used to be as far as like before when it was Ariza and Jack Browning. We kind of had that transition, but and then we had Tyler Pastula as well. That was the latest guy. All those guys were like boom, 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 like real good. So Hunter Green, like it's sort of hard to judge off of having like just like three consecutive good punters for the past however many years. But he can place the ball. They have good um players on special teams like Chris Johnson makes some good plays getting down there and being able to pin these teams down, inside the 5, inside the 10. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then our punting situation's kind of in flux because our, punter who we've had for a couple of years, James Ferguson Reynolds, he recently transferred. So we have a transfer come who came in from Weber State, who,
Mhm.
Oscar Doyle, who actually ended up throwing a touchdown actually on a broken play against,
Oh, jeez.
I believe it was Fresno? I believe it was Fresno State. Um,
Okay.
so he's been kinda slowly developing. He's not as good as Ferguson Reynolds was, but he's been getting up there. So the punting
Yeah.
situation and special teams is also gonna be something besides the weather, because I mean, those have been both strengths for both teams in the past, and now they're kind of on the rocks
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to come back to this and see after tomorrow night's game who was right, if we're on to anything, you know what I mean?
It's either gonna be the most spectacular football or it's just gonna be basically like the basically like, the
Because
Bronco
just a
the
slugfest.
basically the Broncos Raiders game or the Eagles Packers game. It's just gonna be a 10-7 slugfest.
Yeah. I hope not. Because, man, but yeah, I mean, 7:30 kickoff too, so we'll be there pretty late. So hopefully they keep us entertained the whole time.
Oh god, yes, if it's a running game, then that means hopefully a shorter game so we can get out of there sooner.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Yeah, definitely. It'll be
Alright,
it'll be
well
fun.
oh, absolutely, it'll be fun, and we're gonna have a blast.
Yeah.
Alright, look forward to seeing you tomorrow, sir.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Uh,